And let me now update you with the COVID cases that continue to impact the country. Remember, the pandemic is still on. What is currently the status of the cases? At this point, in last 24 hours, about 31,445 cases have come to surface. And this, remember, specifically with regard to Kerala, which is reporting a very high number. Active cases stand about 1,81,209. And with these active cases, what is the list of fatality, the deaths in 24 hours? Positivity rate stands at 18.03%, but there have been cases of deaths also that has been reported. So at this point, with the Ministry of Health continues to collect all this data, the recovery stand at 18,997. But remember, all these data is actually the people. We're talking about individuals who continue to battle COVID-19, and some of them, remember, after vaccination dose as well. So take care of your family, stay safe, ensure that you get vaccinated as well. So, of course, the religious gatherings is a sensitive issue. It's a matter of religious sentiment for many. When Kerala decided to celebrate the Onam festival, gatherings did take place. But what surfaced now are the rising cases of COVID-19. In fact, Kerala presently is at the top, the biggest surge in 3 months. The state is now contributing over 50% of India's new cases. BJP has been quick to blame the Vijayan government in the state of Kerala. Take a look at the story.
Kerala is staring at a COVID emergency. A scary surge in recent days has been contributing to over 50% of India's COVID infections. On Wednesday, Kerala broke its own record after it reported over 31,000 fresh cases in just a single day. This was the highest single-day spike in the last 3 months. That's not the only scary part. COVID positivity ratio in the state also inched closer to the 20% mark. In the last 7 days, India's positivity rate has been hovering around 1.8%, while Kerala saw a positivity rate of 16.6%. The BJP has blamed the Pinarayi Vijayan government for the surge.
Kerala government has been selective in allowing congregations for Bakrid and enforcing some sort of lockdown as far as other festivals are concerned. The kind of cases that are coming from Kerala point out to the overall mismanagement, skewed priorities, not enforcing the protocols adequately. And Kerala government must be questioned on it.
Government of Kerala said that we are introducing the home quarantine, which has miserably failed. So with such a good health infrastructure, if the government is not able to perform, it shows that the government doesn't have the capacity. Government is ineffective.
The Congress also pinned the blame on the state, with Shashi Tharoor leading a roadside ICU protest in Thiruvananthapuram.
But Kerala is in the ICU, and before it gets carried away in an ambulance, the government needs to take better action. That was led by the Indian Youth Congress, which, as we all know, was in the forefront of relief measures on COVID during the second wave.
The Kerala government has rejected the charges.
In many states run by the BJP, when the government is bent to hide the actual number and minimize the tests, the government of Kerala is duty-bound and keen to see that maximum number of people are tested, and the reporting should be 100% perfect. That is the Kerala model.
Data shows on July 21st, following the Bakrid festivities, within a week, cases rose sharply. Similarly, in August, soon after the relaxation for Onam, the state once again saw a significant rise in its COVID tally.
If we can increase the total number of vaccination in the coming days, and if the hospital admissions are under control, this surge also can be managed easily.
Once hailed for its containment efforts, the Kerala model is now facing intense scrutiny. With Gopi Krishnan Unnithan in Thiruvananthapuram, Bureau Report, India Today.
So despite the surge after the Onam festival in Kerala, now there is a demand in Karnataka to have the Ganesh Utsav celebrations be organized. Coming in from the Bharatiya Janata Party members and workers themselves, it's a difficult choice for the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basavaraj Bommai. The question is, will he decide to bow down to the pressure? Will there be grand Ganesh Utsav celebrations coming in Karnataka, or will the politicians and the people decide to hold back with the COVID surge being reported in a neighbouring state?
Politics erupts over COVID in Karnataka. After the state government imposed ban on religious gatherings on Ganesh Chaturthi due to the pandemic, BJP leaders have joined the chorus for allowing Ganesh Utsav.
ಮಸೀದಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಮೂಹಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಮಾಜ್ ನಡೀತಿದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಚರ್ಚ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಡೇ ಮಾಸ್ ನಡೀತಿದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಗಣೇಶೋತ್ಸವಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಯಮಾವಳಿಗಳನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಜಾರಿಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
Nobody objects them to go to temple. In public places they should maintain the COVID protocol. Let them not take the shelter of Muslims or Christian. As a responsible citizen, everybody should adhere to the COVID protocols.
Sir, they have also dared the SPs and DCs saying even if you shoot us, we'll still go ahead with Ganesh.
That is the Taliban culture, giving threat to the SPs and police. It's the Talibani culture.
A few days ago, BJP MLA Bastanagowda Yatnal had vowed to defy any COVID norms if imposed on Ganesh Chaturthi.
ಹೇಳಿ ನಾ CMಗೆ ಹೇಳೀನಿ ಇವತ್ತು, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಂಥವೆಲ್ಲ ಗೋಳ ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಹಚ್ಚದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇನು ಕೇಳೋದಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ SP ಅವ್ರು ಅದಾರ, ನಿಮ್ಮ DC ಅದಾರ. ಗಣಪತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಹಿಂದೂ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮ್ಯಾಗ, ಹಿಂದೂ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಮ್ಯಾಗ, ಹಿಂದೂ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಏನಾರ ಬರೀ ಕಾನೂನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಾ ಏನು ಬಿಜಾಪುರನಾಗ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗುಂಡು ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು, ಭಾಳ ಅದಾರ ನನಗೆ.
The BJP leader's belligerence flies in the face of expert advice. Renowned cardiologist and member of Karnataka COVID panel, Dr. Devi Shetty, has called for restraint in religious gatherings.
I don't think any of the politicians have asked the people to break the code of COVID-19 prevention. I don't think so. And even if somebody has felt it, they didn't mean it. We have to follow the COVID norms at least for another 2 years.
With the BJP leaders openly daring their own government over COVID norms, the spotlight is firmly on the new Chief Minister. Will Basavaraj Bommai bow to pressure from his party colleagues? With Nagarjun Dwarkanath, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me now get you up to speed what's been happening in Afghanistan. From the US-made Black Hawks to the armored personnel carriers, Islamic terrorist organizations have managed to get a hand on all of these ammunitions, weapons, even aircraft carriers. And therefore, with this access now, the video also has emerged of the Taliban reportedly taxing a UH-60 Black Hawk around at the Kandahar airport. Now remember, the Black Hawk is one of the most famous birds in the air. It is capable of carrying missiles, rockets and even cannons. Billions of dollars have been spent on the Afghan army earlier, is now being benefited by the Taliban terrorists.
A legendary American UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter taxiing across the Kandahar airfield. Not an unusual sight in Afghanistan, except the men operating the chopper are said to be Taliban members. This clip, released by Russian state media, identifies the helicopter as a US Army UH-60 Black Hawk. Over 35 Black Hawk helicopters supplied by the US to the Afghan army were left abandoned in the rapid collapse following the US exit. In the turbulence that followed, open source intelligence suggests 9 such helicopters were flown to Uzbekistan by fleeing Afghan government pilots. That would mean at least 25 Black Hawk helicopters are still in Taliban hands. The video, only a minute long, only shows the Black Hawk on the ground and not taking off. It is not clear if the Taliban pilots managed to thereafter fly the chopper. What is clear, however, is that the Taliban is looking to make use of these advanced military helicopters. But two big questions stand out. First, does the Taliban even have credible pilots? Answering that only days ago, the Taliban said it would be hiring existing pilots from the collapsed Afghan military.
About previous army and military, that is collapsed, finished. So now if we want to hire them and bring them back to this rank, so definitely we will call them, and we need them because they have high training. Most of them got training in Turkey and Germany and England, so we need them and we will call them to get back to their positions.
The second big question, flying is only part of air combat. What about maintenance, spares, and learning how to use these choppers for military operations? Well, the Chinese Harbin Z-20 helicopter is a reverse-engineered copy of this very Black Hawk. And Chinese friendship with the Taliban means they could theoretically get help with maintenance, spares, and flying training if needed. Black Hawks are legendary helicopters which across variants have served the US and several other militaries since the 1970s. Updated versions of this highly reliable helicopter continue to be supplied to customers across the world. India itself will be receiving the newest version of the Black Hawk called the MH-60R from the US later this year. The helicopters also received title credit in Ridley Scott's gritty battle drama Black Hawk Down, a story of a notoriously mishandled US mission in Somalia. But with 25 Black Hawks down in Afghanistan, the Taliban has overnight become one of the largest operators of the helicopter type outside the US. It's a long, difficult road, but this new video shows they're taking their first steps. Bureau Report, India Today.
Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra, the javelin star of the country, has issued a clarification on Twitter. And why? This in view of his recent comments and with regard to the controversy involving his fellow javelin thrower Arshad Nadeem of Pakistan. In an interview given to a newspaper earlier, Chopra had said before his first throw in the javelin final in Tokyo, he was not able to find his spear because Pakistan's Arshad Nadeem was moving around with his javelin at that time. However, his comments immediately blew out of proportion, many social media users claiming that Nadeem deliberately tried to tamper with Chopra's javelin. But India's star athlete decided to release a video. On Twitter, he expressed his disappointment over the flack that Nadeem is facing because of these comments. Neeraj Chopra in the video explains how Nadeem was never tampering with his spear. The gold medalist also put out an appeal asking people not to use his comments for their dirty propaganda, as he called it.
इंटरव्यू में मैंने कहा कि जो जेवलिन है पहले थ्रो करने से पहले मैंने अरशद नदीम जो पाकिस्तानी जेवलिन थ्रोअर है उससे जेवलिन ली, तो उसका काफ़ी बड़ा मुद्दा बना दिया है, जो कि एक बहुत ही सिंपल सी बात है कि हम जो हमारी पर्सनल जेवलिन होती है वो हम उसमें रखते हैं, पर उसको सभी थ्रोअर उसको यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ये रूल है। तो बिल्कुल ऐसा उसमें कोई गलत नहीं है कि वो जेवलिन लेके वो प्रिपेयर कर रहा था अपनी थ्रो के लिए और मैंने अपनी थ्रो के लिए उसको मांगा। तो ये इतनी बड़ी बात नहीं है और मुझे काफ़ी दुख है कि जो इस बात को मेरा सहारा लेके एक इतना जो बड़ा है इसको मुद्दा बना रहे हैं। तो मैं आप सभी से यही विनती करता हूं कि ऐसा ना करें। स्पोर्ट्स सभी को मिलके चलना सिखाता है।
I'm heading into a very short break, but when I return, we try and get you stories that have been fact-checked by our India Today team to ensure that you get correct and verified information and not fall for any information that's been circulating on social media.